Ei bine, v-am găsit, dragi prieteni, la o nouă emisiune Interviul Radio Nova Mix. Astăzi alături de mine din nou ne bucurăm de prezența domnului profesor Livio Spinelli, secretarul prințesei Elettra Marconi, fata inventatorului radio, Guglielmo Marconi. Hello, Mr. Professor Livio Spinelli, and welcome back to Radio Nova Mix, welcome back to Romania, welcome back to Craiova.
Mix and the best engineer Iulian. I want to say hello and thank you to you and your Radio Nova Mix on behalf of Princess Elettra Marconi that is happy to give your radio her patronage, and she asked me to thank you very much because you want remember and celebrate his father, Guglielmo Marconi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spinelli, and thank you also for Princess Elettra kind words. Thank you also for having her patronage here. We are the first to remember to our listeners, we are the first radio station that works under patronage of Princess Elettra Marconi, and we are very happy to do that, and thank you very much also. Today, dear friends and Mr. Spinelli, we are talking about your book. My Father Invented the Radio is calling. With you write here about the inventor of the radio, Guglielmo Marconi. Please tell us something about this book.
Yes. Well, a few years ago, I made a project for schools and junior people. And I got an important sponsorship money from the Italian school ministry, and to develop this book about Marconi and his inventions. This book was made according to Princess Elettra, who gave me the permission to publish the pictures, and she wrote an introduction to say hello and welcome to me and the schools. This book is published in Italian language and in English language because the English version was made in cooperation with the Oxford University Press. And now I am happy to present this book to any publisher in Romania that want to translate this book in Romanian language without no charge, no copyright charges.
I understand that's very good initiative. So in this moment you are looking for a publisher to translate it in Romania. It is not in Romanian language, but where can the people find the book?
This book is in part online, but you can write my email, and anybody who is interested to this book, I will send by email a copy of it, both in Italian or English language.
Thank you very much. So, dear friends, you heard Professor Spinelli. If you want a copy of the book, just write us an email on our email, and we will get it from the professor and have you by email the electronic copy of the book. So, what are the important chapters of the book?
Well, in December there are two important dates about the Marconi's achievements about the radio transmissions. At the beginning, Marconi went from Italy to London, and he started to get the patent of radio transmission. At the beginning, there was about skepticism about the Marconi invention, the radio, the wireless, but step by step, Marconi demonstrate that his invention was very useful, above all for ships. After that, Marconi tried to make transmission always longer and longer distance. In 1901, he decided to try a radio transmission across the Atlantic Ocean. This was most of scientists said that this was impossible, and Marconi was a bit crazy to think he could send a message from Europe to America.
Yes.
But Marconi didn't mention it. He decided to establish in Cornwall, in Poldhu, a huge radio antenna, and he decided then to establish another antenna in Newfoundland, Canada. When he built up this huge antenna, each pole was about 80 meters high. During the construction, there was a hurricane, and the antenna in Poldhu was destroyed. But Marconi didn't lose his courage. He rebuilt again the antenna in Poldhu, then he went by ship to Newfoundland. Of course, he had a problem with his money, because when the hurricane destroyed the first antenna, he gave up his money to build a new antenna in Cornwall. After that, he was almost broke. Therefore, when he went in Newfoundland, he had only the opportunity to use a kite and a long wire. The radio transmission, according to Marconi, was that the radio station in Cornwall had to transmit every day the signal 3 dots, SOS, at each established time. When Marconi arrived in Newfoundland, he built his radio station in a tower, in the Cabot Tower. Cabot was an Italian that discovered Newfoundland, and another Italian after 4 centuries tried to realize the first transatlantic transmission. It was very difficult because it was in winter and it was ice and temperature -0. They start to receive the signal days after days, but there was no signal received. But on the morning of December 12, 1901, Marconi wrote, everything was ready and the decisive moment was approaching. After many vain attempts, despite a very strong and cold wind, I was able to raise the kite that lifted the antenna to about 360 feet high. At 12:30, while I was listening on my headset receiver, I heard a weak but clear rhythmic succession of the 3 dots, i.e., the letter S of the Morse alphabet. That signal was launched into space from the Poldhu station across the Atlantic Ocean, and the long-distance radio telegraph was born then. The day after, we received the signal again, and I sent a cable to England. I received the signals. Marconi. The news that I had connected 2 continents.
Very nice.
After that, most of the scientists wrote, many newspapers said that Marconi, it was a lie, that was impossible for Marconi to send radio waves, because on that time the scientists thought that radio waves were like light waves going right. Therefore, it was impossible to send radio signals due that the earth was round. They said it was not possible because radio waves go straight on. They don't poke. Well, but the proof that Marconi really realized the transmission was when the cable company in London, who had the permission to send messages from England to Canada through a cable under the ocean, had big problems for their shares. As when the news of that Marconi was able to send a message across the ocean, a radio message, the cable company shares had many problems, and Marconi received a letter from the cable company. He had no right to be in Newfoundland and use Newfoundland for radio transmission, because only this company had the permission to use the area from England to Canada. For this reason, Marconi changed the place and went to another place. This is after this, it was such a big success to Marconi that he received from all over the world orders to buy his radio sets, and for this reason Marconi went from London to Chelmsford because he needed a huge area to build a huge radio factories, and he was there in Chelmsford, that on that time was a small village, but thanks to Marconi it became a town.
Nice. So 12 December 1901, the first transatlantic radio transmission. This year
And
the 124 anniversary.
yes, this is the 120.
Last week, I see, 12 of December.
Yes, and then in December there were also the date that when Marconi received the Nobel Prize for his developing of radio transmission.
In what year?
In 1909.
1909. Nice. What can you tell you? What can you tell us, Professor Spinelli, about next year UNESCO International Radio Day?
Well, since about 13 years, UNESCO decided to honor the inventor of radio, Guglielmo Marconi. And each year they made the International UNESCO Radio Day, and all the radio of the world can apply the UNESCO to take part in this event. Each radio will receive the permission of the UNESCO to use their jingle, their logos, and UNESCO will arrange every year a world map, and in this world map they will put each radio that take part to this World Day, and I wish that Radio Nova Mix will take part part this year to this important radio day all over the world. There are China, South America, North America, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, Ireland, Italy, and so all the world.
Yes, that's a good idea. For sure, we want to apply. Tell me, do you know it's any other station for Romania in this UNESCO Radio Day? Or
I don't know, but probably you will be the first one.
Nice. For sure, we will discuss after the interview about the conditions to apply over there and what are the rules.
It's free of charge. You just need to fill up an entry form, and then you receive the permission. And for these days, Princess Elettra told me that if you like, she will release you an interview to thanks your radio to remember and celebrate his father, as you like.
Yes, we will like that very much. Thank you very much. So you can inform the princess that we will honorate the interview. If she can, it will be an honor for us to do it.
Welcome.
10 December, I see here Marconi wins the Nobel Prize, you said earlier in the interview. What can you tell us about this?
This was important because Marconi was, when I was a young boy, he had some problems, health problems, and he couldn't attend regular studies at high school, at university. He studied by himself, and on that time the scientists were trying experiments with radio waves, but most of the scientists said that radio waves was just a phenomenon of laboratories, because they thought radio waves are unuseful. But Marconi, when he was just 14, he was trying to make experiments with these radio waves. He received a review each month about electric, because electronic wasn't on that time invented. And he was living in his father's factory far from Bologna, and he was building by himself everything, even the batteries, because there was no shop to buy batteries. He was doing everything by himself. But if you think, when 50 years before Marconi, all over the world, they were established Morse code transmission by wires. When Marconi was born, you can send by wires messages, telegrams from Europe to United States or Japan. Yes. And then you can imagine that a 15 years boy told to his mother and other people, I can do the same without wires. This, most of people, when he went to school, the teacher told his mother, your son has probably problems because he is talk about nonsense.
Nonsense, yes.
But then, step by step, he was able to make the first radio transmission in his father's farm. At the beginning, from one room to another room, then from his room outside the court, and he realized that if you want to send radio waves longer, you need something special. He built up the first antenna, because he is not only the inventor of the radio, he is also the inventor of the radio. Thanks to antenna, he was able to reach some longer distances.
Do you know at what age he started the transmission test?
Yeah, he started when he was 15.
15 years.
Because he put an antenna on the roof of his father's factory, and some bells. When there was lightnings, the shock of the lightnings let the bells ring, and then he was learning about how was the radio waves functioning. Then the scientists said that radio waves were unuseful because they were something like a light. Therefore, if there was an obstacle, it was impossible to send these waves. But Marconi made the proof. In front of his factory, his father's farm, there was a hill, the famous Celestini Hill. One day Marconi asked his brother and an old peasant, I put the transmitter in our court, you go across the hill, take a rifle, and I will try to send radio signals across the hill. If you receive the signal, then make some shots with the rifle. One morning they did this, and when Marconi started to transmit 1 time, 2 times, 4 times, after that he heard 1 shot, another shot, and this was the birth of the radio. Nice. After that he went to England, and in England he received the patent for his invention.
He moved to England, or just
he moved to England. He moved to England because in Italy nobody trusted him. He sent a letter to the Italian post office, and the Italian post office replied his mother, take this your son to the doctor. And his mother was was Irish, and he had relatives in London, and his father was a rich man because he was trading in London, and his uncle was an engineer. He was friend with the postmaster of London. And when Marconi met the postmaster of London, the postmaster that was doing some experiments about radio waves realized immediately that Marconi did a very, very interesting, important invention.
I understand. Tell me something, Professor. I see here in the book a separate chapter named the Titanic. What is the connection between Guglielmo Marconi and the Titanic?
Well, when Marconi made his first radio factories, the radio sets were about expensive. Therefore, only on the important cruise ship it was possible to make a radio cabin for radio transmission. On that time, on the transatlantic ships, the radio cabin were used just to spend some time, because the trip from Europe to America lasted about 2 or 3 or 5 weeks, and the people went to the radio cabin to send messages to friends on other ships, like something like today we send SMS messages. On that time, nobody thought to use radio in other ways. When the Titanic struck the iceberg, the day before, the radio the radio operator on the ship Titanic had a discussion with other radio operator from a ship near the Titanic ship, because there were interferences between the two radio stations. The radio operator of the Titanic had a big argue with the other radio amateurs of the other ship, and the radio amateurs of the other ship closed the radio. When in the night the Titanic struck the iceberg, the radio operator of the Titanic tried to send messages to the other
help
ship,
message, something like that.
but nobody received this.
Nobody answered.
They were lucky because there was another ship at about 233 miles that received the signals. The only problem was that on the Titanic ship there were not enough boats to rescue all the people, but 733 people were rescued thanks to the Marconi's radio on board of the Titanic. Marconi had to travel about the Titanic, but he had to sign a contract in New York, very urgent, therefore he anticipated his trip to New York. When he was in New York, there is a video, you can find this video on internet. Most of the Titanic people that and their parents and relatives that were rescued were under the window of Marconi apartment in New York, shouting, "Thank you, you rescued us," and they gave Marconi a big gold medal.
Nice. He deserved it.
Yes.
He deserved it. Thank you, Professor. Tell me, Professor, please now, what is the connection between Guglielmo Marconi and the first radio station?
In voice and music.
Yes.
Well, as I told you, when Marconi invented his radio, it was a radio transmitter just using Morse code.
Yes.
Until 1919, on that time in Chelmsford, near Chelmsford, UK, there was a small village and a barrack in Rittle. The technicians of Marconi built up the first radio station that could transmit voice, music and news. And the day of the inauguration, Marconi invited a famous singer, Dame Melba. Dame Melba had to start with her song. She was very famous on that time. The first radio transmission of the world. When Dame Melba, came to Chelmsford, Marconi and his staff showed Lady Melba the factories, and Marconi told her, "Madam, have a look to this antenna. From up of this antenna, tonight all Europe will hear your voice." When Lady Melba looked up the antenna, it was about 100 meters high, and she said, "Mr. Marconi, you are wrong. I will never run up this antenna."
Yes, I have a picture here. This dear friends of the antenna. It's very, very high, and you can see it if you want the book. I will send you by mail. Like Professor said, you can send us an email, and I will ask Professor to to send us the book. Nice nice words over there. I see here the frequency 428 kilohertz, 200 watts power, every Tuesday from 8 to 8:30 evening.
Because the newspapers in Britain were afraid about this radio, because this radio was transmitting news and advertising, and the newspaper didn't like that this radio transmitted advertising, because they were took money away from newspapers to pay advertising via radio. This radio, the name is 2MT, they called 2M Talk, and it lasted about 6 months because the British government didn't like to have a free radio. After 6 months, the government decided to stop this radio.
After 6 months?
After 6 months, because they had the problems with newspapers. They didn't like to transmit daily news. They couldn't control this news. Therefore, they decided to stop, and they were thinking to establish a state company. They made a law, and they built up the British Broadcasting Company.
Also known today as BBC.
Yes, but they had a problem because this company had an agreement with the British government that they had only 6 months to build up a radio transmitter station. When the company realized that they couldn't make this in 6 months, they asked Marconi to sell them his radio station in in retail. Therefore, Marconi was a member founder of the British Broadcasting Company, and then he was also member founding of the British Broadcasting Corporation. Not also that, in 1934, thanks to Marconi Company and EMI Company, there were a fusion of two companies merging. Marconi and EMI built up the first electronic TV camera that enables in 1936 to the BBC to inaugurate the first regular TV transmissions.
Nice. So Marconi has also he's participating in the first TV transmissions also, not only radio.
Yes, thanks to Marconi, the BBC received from the Marconi Company this electronic camera, because on that time, before the Marconi electronic camera, they tried to make transmission with the so-called Nipkow disc, but this was a mechanical system. Therefore, the image were not good, just 150 lines or 180 lines. But the Marconi camera had 405 lines interlaced. It was a high-level standard.
Nice. So, as you tell us, I'm wondering. Marconi was born in Italy, but he invented the first radio transmitter in the UK. This is the life. He was not welcome in Italy, so he started the first transmission, and they remain in history with the United Kingdom.
Well, Marconi is a citizen of the world, because from his company, all the electronics company of the world were born. And last but not least, Marconi was able to build up the Vatican radio. This was very important for the Vatican City because for the first time, thanks to Marconi, all the world could hear the voice of the Pope. This was a big success.
So this is like something that he wants to do it for his natal country, for Italy, I think, to do something for his country also regarding his radio transmitting and help the Vatican with first radio transmission, not only the United Kingdom.
He said, my inventions are not to destroy, they are to save the people. Always he said this.
So likely the radio station from UK that now it's not transmitting anymore, the radio station from Vatican, Italy is transmitting in our days normal program, right? 24 hours a day, I think.
They are transmitting in 40 languages all over the world.
Nice. So this is a nice history lesson today that you spoke us. Thank you very much for this information. And I'm very glad that Marconi's inventions are used today at a higher level because we are the beneficiaries of his inventions, even if we don't know it.
Well, if we have time, I want to say something before to stop.
Sure.
I did the project in the Marconi area nearby Rome, in my town, where Marconi from 1930 to 1937 made his first experiments about microwaves applied to mobile phones, radar and TV. In this area, Marconi established his laboratories, factories and research centers. Unfortunately, in Santa Marinella, where he did this, during World War II in 1944, the German Nazis destroyed all the Marconi laboratories, all the documents, and I did a project with the Italian Air Force, the Italian government and the local authorities to make this area called Marconi Science Park, and in this Marconi Science Park I established a Marconi museum.
Nice.
In connection with Princess Elettra Marconi, the Italian Air Force and many other sponsors. I want to point out that most of people knows that Marconi is the inventor of the radio, but thanks to his researches in Santa Marinella, for the first time in 1933 he was able to build up a mobile phones for the Pope Pius XI, and this was the first mobile phones of the world like we use it today. In 1935 he inaugurated the first radar station in Santa Marinella. During his experiment he was always in contact with the Marconi company in London. When the Marconi company received the news of this inauguration of the radar station in Santa Marinella, they had talked with the British government, and the British government built 5 radar stations from the Marconi company to test them on the Thames River. When they tested them, they realized that this was an important. It was important, this radar station for the British defense. In 1937, they ordered other 20 radar stations. Before the Second World War began, all the south of England was protected by this Marconi radar change. I found documents in the Marconi Archive Company and the government that they said without the Marconi radar in 1944 we had lost the Battle of England against the Nazis that tried to invade Britain. But thanks to this radar, they were able to stop the invasion.
Nice.
And that's all.
So this park right now in Santa Marinella, it's
nearby Rome, not far
Rome.
From.
It's
Rome.
Open for everybody to come and visit, right?
Yes.
So, dear friends, if you are passing by Rome, you are welcome to visit Marconi Radio Science Park in Santa Marinella. You can find over there information about Marconi inventions, and for sure it's something that you want to visit.
I can say another. When Marconi decided to make experiments about microwaves,
Yes.
On that time, I say 1928 or 29, in Paris, each year there were meetings to buy and sell radio frequencies. But nobody cares about microwaves. Then Marconi wrote a letter to his CEO of the Marconi Company in London, and he said, I want to start experiments about microwaves. And I saw a letter of Marconi that asked the CEO to give him money for his researches, and the CEO replied, Mr. Marconi knows that microwaves are useless. Therefore, if he likes to joke, to play with microwaves, he can make this game with his money from his pocket.
Tell me something. What about the connection between Marconi? Because you said it's something about his CEO. Marconi company was his family property, or no connection regarding?
This was something strange, because in the beginning, Marconi was the main holder of the Marconi company.
But he was the founder also?
Yes, he was the founder,
yes.
And the owner of the company with other shareholder, but he had the main shares.
Yes.
But step by step, when the radio began always more and more important,
powerful, yes.
He had troubles from the British government and from other companies. There was a Churchill scandal about the Marconi shares, and then I don't know exactly what happened in the 1930s. There was some meetings in the Marconi company, and they promised to Marconi some important charges, like director. But after that, somebody in this company made something that Marconi lost the main property of the Marconi company.
So
because the radio transmissions were so important that in this company there were the ends of the British government and probably the ends of the secret services, that they didn't like that an Italian could have the ownership of this company. It was on that time a strategic company for the British government.
The company was found in UK, not in Italy.
In UK, the main company were in UK, but in in other countries there were Marconi companies. In Italy there were the Marconi company in Genoa, but it was not as big as like in London. It was a small Italian company.
But there was connection. It was a
Yes,
substation.
they were a substation, but on this company Marconi lost
The shares.
The shares, and he didn't know exactly what the British government was doing in his company. It was very strategic.
Yeah, so you do a good for your country, or a part of your country, because he had two countries, Italy and UK.
Yes.
But the country treats you not right.
No, but at the beginning in Italy, Marconi was not. They didn't take serious Marconi.
Yeah.
But after some years, the king of Italy was giving Marconi honor. They made him a senator, and then when Mussolini was in power, Mussolini take Marconi like an important Italian citizen. But they say, but Marconi was, of course, was thankful to Mussolini, but he was not not a fascist. Marconi was not engaged in politics. He was a researcher. He was a scientist.
Scientist, right. So, Professor, thank you very much for the nice interview. Very nice history lesson that you spoke us today. Marconi did very, very good research, and we all are benefits from his researches right now. Please receive my best wishes and regards for you and your family, because it's a holiday season here, and please transmit to Princess Elettra and his family our best wishes and regards from Craiova and Radio Nova Mix.
Thank you, Iulian. I wish you and your Radio Nova Mix all the best. Thank you, Romania. Thank you, Craiova. See you soon again.
See you next year,
Next year.
because we are very happy to invite you next year also here in our studio in Craiova, Romania. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to you. Iar voi, dragi prieteni, vă mulțumim frumos pentru interviul, pentru că ați fost alături de noi în acest interviu în limba engleză. Cu siguranță nu a fost o problemă pentru voi. Rămâneți în continuare alături de Radio Nova Mix și de programele noastre. O zi frumoasă!